I got done with this very long relief factor fueled run and came back and wrote a column, which is up this morning at foxnews.com, and I posted a link to it at X. And it is titled, How Bad Could a Kamala Harris Presidency Be? And that's all I thought about I was gone for 2 hours. How bad would a Kamala Harris presidency be? Even great believers in the genius of our Constitution, and it is a work of genius and as amended has given Americans a citizenship that is the envy of the world. Even they have to lose sleep over the prospect of 4 years of President Kamala Harris. That would be a very bad run for the country, a very, very bad run. How bad depends, of course, on whether or not the House remains Republican and the Senate flips to the GOP control. But assume a worst case for the constitutionalists. Somehow the ongoing makeover of the vice president cons the electorate. And like President Biden and President Obama, Harris has majorities in both houses with which to begin her ruling. On Wednesday, Axios relayed from the Harris campaign that, quote, a big part of the Harris plan is to unapologetically change some of her more liberal positions, claim her White House experience helped change their mind. Yes, when she was running for president in 2019, she was against fracking, for decriminalizing illegal border crossings, and for single-payer health care, Medicare for all. Given that all these positions and many more hard-left policy views defined her presidential campaign in 2019, they define her still. Her campaign collapsed on the same year it was launched, before 2020 primary and caucus voting began. Harris ran then as the authentic San Francisco Democrat that she has always been, a hard-left Democrat. The Democratic Party electorate in 2019 wouldn't even let Harris get to the starting line in 2020 in Iowa, and we all know why. She is a terrible candidate, with views on public policy that were baked into her cake from a life in the Bay Area. What would the United States look like after 4 years of President Harris and Democrats in control of the Hill? Look at the San Francisco and Oakland situations, and there's your answer. On the three issues critical of this election, inflation, immigration, and Israel-Iran, Harris is far to the left of the American mainstream. Former President Trump has an actual record of legislative objectives and achievement. He stood by Israel, rebuilt and hollowed out Pentagon budget, and made our enemies in the world fear the wrath of the United States. Trump cut taxes, enacted criminal justice reform, and he also appointed scores and scores of justices and judges to the federal bench. He was the best president we have had, including President Reagan, when it came to deregulation and the cabineting of federal power. We know Trump. We know all of his positives and all of his drawbacks. The overdose of Trump venom that most in the commentary took before, during, and after his first term have blinded them to the essential fact that Trump is a very moderate Republican on policy. He's very conservative on defense and on judges, but he's open to innovation like the Right to Try Act. I'm actually very moderate, he said, to the shock of people who mistake his often blunt brawls with opponents to his actual policy. But Trump governed from the center right, and he would do so again. Only this time, Trump will know from the jump on his re-election night how to staff the behemoth that is the executive branch. We have no such record on which to rely with Harris. All we know about the vice president is what she promised to do in 2019 if elected in 2020. We also know she was tapped in March of 2021 to lead the Biden administration on all border and immigration issues. 40 months later, we know how spectacularly she has failed doing that job. So Harris is getting a rushed policy makeover during her blackout campaign. Because of the relief rally among Democrats that an infirmed Joe Biden finally stepped aside, her polling numbers have improved, and the races of virtual ties the Democrats gather in Chicago. The Harris honeymoon will continue throughout the entirety of the Democratic convention, with the legacy media's soft-focused lens used every day and night to try and erase her 2019 campaign and her voting record in the Senate, while sprinting away from the Biden record on, well, everything. It's as though she and her team watched Men in Black and ordered up the deployment of a giant neuralizer. And it's worked on most of the Manhattan Beltway media elite because they want her to win. When we elect a president, we also elect 3,000 or so appointees to populate the executive branch and scores of federal judges with lifetime tenure. If Harris wins, the already left-leaning cast of characters that make up Team Biden will collectively shift to the left. Very, very far to the left. The Harris presidency would stun everyone, even at MSNBC. She is that far to the left on the American political spectrum. The U.S. will quickly become the land of no borders at all, a ruined health care system coupled with rising energy costs. that accompany a true believer on climate hysteria because, while her campaign says she changed her stated desire to ban all fracking, why would we believe that? Harris will do what San Francisco has done for 3 decades. Go left, left, and then go left again, and use taxpayer money to do so. But it won't be about Swedish-style socialism or some vague notion about expanded prescription drug benefits. Not even close. To vote for Harris is to vote to follow San Francisco's lead. And when everyone at the Democratic National Convention next week tells you something different, remember the Harris record. Remember how she voted in the Senate. She was the most liberal Democrat in the Senate, more so than Bernie Sanders, and how she campaigned for the presidency in 2019. What she always believed and now purports to repudiate cannot be defended as wise or even marginally acceptable to a significant majority of Americans. So the big con is on. The only question is how many independents and traditional Democrats will buy what she is selling, which is the whole body political makeover. I don't think they will. I cannot believe Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin will, because those folks are grounded in reality, and they chose to live in states that went through tough transitions and have recovered. Those voters are not going to be fooled by this act, and not just because Harris and Governor Walz are terrible actors, though they are. Trust the people, Winston Churchill said once and again. I do too. I trust the people, even the Steelers fans. That's my new Fox News column. I put it over at X. It's at foxnews.com. I hope you send it everywhere. We have to pound home every day how extremely radical Kamala Harris is. And I don't mean a little bit radical. I don't mean kind of liberal like Joe Biden, confused and muddling Joe Biden. I mean a hard left Bay Area Democrat.